here we are. Feels like we're saying sayonara, and we kind of are, at least in our expectation is great for something very proximate to now. I will say this, I'm not wise if I try to call it. So I'll just kind of tell you, like I've been telling you for 9 years, what I've been hearing. And so, to start with, let's just go to what's happening at the redemption centers over the last couple of days. We've got 2 conference calls that went on yesterday, one from 11 to 2:30, which was really 11 to 1:30, and then one from 1:30 to 2:30. We had Homeland Security on the first one for an hour and a half, and then we had Treasury, Federal Reserve, and the White House representatives on for the next hour. Now, there have been practice things going on in the redemption centers to get ready for us, and that's all good. And that continued today. More practice, getting ready, making sure everybody is up to speed completely. And what's been happening in the world of boxes of bonds, assets, boxes of Zim bonds have been payouts of those in basically Hong Kong, Geneva, London, Miami, and Reno yesterday and today. Now, those probably are not completely done. Those will continue, and they will continue to pay out for quite some time because of the vast amounts that are included in those, especially the boxes of bonds. They're going to go on and on and on. Okay? That's okay. That doesn't mean that we're not going, because we are. Now, so that's what's been happening. Now, we've got some contacts in Europe that are talking about everything releasing in terms of the funding to, I'm going to call it SKRs, probably of Tier 3, the remaining intermediate groups to be paid out. And we're looking at all of this to start at 4 a.m. in the morning Eastern Daylight Time tomorrow. That's going to be a great start to the paying out of some of the remaining fines and penalties, adjudicated settlements, farm claims, etc., ad infinitum, is going on starting at 4 in the morning. That's big, very big. Now, it will continue to go at different times around the globe tomorrow, but the U.S. starts in Miami with the paying out of a lot of these bonds and Zim platforms and all of that stuff early tomorrow morning. Now, what does it mean for us? There's information saying that we could start possibly being notified as early as tomorrow afternoon. Let's see if that happens. If that happens, could we start tomorrow? Maybe. Could we start Thursday? More likely. We'll see what happens. Just a heads up, letting you know what I'm hearing. Not calling it, just saying. This is what I'm getting. When it comes to this GCR, we've got 9 currencies, most of which we know of, that are going up in value. And many of them, as you guys know, are going up significantly. The rest of the remaining currencies will be split in terms of, approximately split, in terms of those that will stay the same for now, and those that will go down in value. Well, let's pick a couple that we think will go down in value. We believe that the British pound, sterling, may go down in value. They may go down to equal, let's say, the USN, our new dollar. They could go, now it may not be immediate, but they could go and be on par with the dollar. So could the euro. And you guys know the euro may not last forever. Those countries may go to their own individual currencies at some point. I don't think it's going to be right now immediate, but I think that they could. And remaining currencies around the globe, for the most part, will make adjustments over the next, I'm going to say, 6 months or so. Slight adjustments, and that will come through, probably once a month or maybe 5 months. Now, the other thing is, what about, for example, Cuba? Guess who's printing new money for Cuba? And where? We are. At Guantanamo. For that country. The other countries that are redoing their currency, we've got Honduras redoing theirs. We've got the Bahamas. Remember those who have been there, the Bahamian dollar? It was either, I can't remember whether it was $2 Bahamian for $1 US. I think it was that. It might have been on par 1-to-1 the last few times I went. I can't remember. So that, you're looking at a new currency there. You're looking at a new one. I understand there's a new one in Puerto Rico as well that'll be made. I don't know if we're going to be doing that one for them. I would think we might. But, they're a U.S. protectorate, and that's where the Federal Reserve was located. That's where it was based out of. That's where the corporation, where the United States Inc. was based. Well, whatever Puerto Rico is going to do with the currency, they should have their own again. So, I would think Canada, which the last time I looked, and it's been a while, don't hold me to it, was somewhere, the Canadian dollar was worth about 70 U.S. cents, meaning 70 cents Canadian to the U.S. $1. So I don't know, but I would think at some point the Canadian dollar will go and be on par with the U.S. dollar. We'll see. And then Mexico, for right now, will stay as it is. Mexican peso will not change yet. What about, for example, the North Korean currency? What about Iran? What about a few others? They will not change yet. Even though if you have real, go ahead and take it to the exchange. You will be able to exchange it at a very favorable rate. And talking about rates, which we don't really do in detail, let's start with the ZIM. People are concerned somewhat about what they're going to get on the ZIM. I'm going to say this. If you have a 100T note, or the equivalent of a 100T note, they will make you a very favorable rate on that first note. beyond that, if you have more than that, which of course many, many of you do, that's where your world-class presentation will come into play for negotiating what it is you should get for your remaining ZIM above 100 teeth. Now, it's going to depend on your projects, how well you come across. All of those factors will be weighed in. But I will say this, your ability to receive, again, very good rates on any remaining ZIM is very, very strong. Much stronger than I actually thought it would be. So you're going to be fine. Believe it or not, rates are the least of your concerns. They really are. Dinar and Dong, much higher than we all thought. Front screen rates, much higher. You'll be just fine. Okay, so don't sweat it. Don't sweat it at all. Don't even think about it, because it's going to be wonderful. Everybody is all set. So, I believe that this is coming to us, and we're ready to move on and get this done. It appears that they are ready. And, you know, with everything else happening with politics and with just so much happening right now in the world, we're going to have, I believe, a lot of cover for when we go in. Now, there are some hot spots across the country. We know that. We know there are still some hot spots. They have been taken care of over the last several days to make allowances for that. And because of that, when you call in to set your appointment, you may have to, you know, when you give your zip codes and you're given options of where to go for a redemption center, you may have to drive a little further than you thought, maybe up to 80 miles away in some of the hotspot areas. Okay? So be prepared for that possibility, and if that's the case, allow enough time to get to your redemption center and be there no more than 10 minutes early. We really want this to run like clockwork. We really don't want people waiting around for, you know, more than 10 minutes before it's your time to go in. Okay? Now remember, your NDAs are going to be good for 90 days. That's 3 months. That means really you should be considering getting a new cell phone and a new email about 48 hours or less after this goes, so that you can just speak about business and not be tempted to talk about anything, about the exchange, about anything that we can talk about right now. The redemption, currencies, any of that. None of that is what you should even be focused on. You should be focused on, you know, seeing if you like where you're living, you're interested in a new house, are you interested in a new car, are you going to go on vacation for a little while, which I think would be great. What are you going to do? You don't have to do projects in week one. You know, listen, we're going to get together and get some strategic planning started. But we're probably not going to get started on our projects for at least 2 or 3 months. So take your time, enjoy this. You've earned it, enjoy it. And just when you're chilling on the beach or wherever you are, you know, just think a little bit. Meditate. Meditate on your projects. Think about what it is you want to do. Look into the information that Sue brought tonight. Look into that. Okay? This is a great opportunity to reflect to really think deeply about what it is, what is your calling, how can you take this and make this really make a stand for God, make a stand for humanity, making changes that will affect humanity for maybe tens of thousands of years. Who knows? There's a lot to be thankful for, and we're going to really be looking forward to that. So you've got the 3-month NDA. More than likely, your calls will be tracked for quite a while, and you'll be tracked by the QFS system. In other words, that QFS will monitor every financial transaction you do. And all of that can be seen. So they want to make sure that none of this money goes to anything nefarious, anything that would be considered bad, Antifa, any number of terrorist organizations, none of that. They've done their best to keep any of that from happening. And so now we've got a system that will work for us, will keep everything above board, totally legit, and you guys see where 50 Cent is talking about supporting Trump. You guys see that today? So you've got several people that are really into supporting our current president. I think getting out the vote is really important. I want to make sure that everybody, 39 million Christians didn't vote the last 2 elections. And I want to make sure everybody that can votes. And everybody can. So get out and vote, everybody. It's going to be important. This is a big time. This is a big thing. There's a lot of stuff going on. This is a fight. This is a fight. I hate to say that, but it is a fight between good and evil. And, I'm a supporter of the president. I believe he's doing the right thing for our country, and I believe he's proved that over the last 3.5+ years. So I'm very positive about where we will go should he be reelected for the next 4 years. It's going to be very positive for all of us. I'm excited about meeting Dr. Ben Carson for several reasons, but one of which is to get with him about the opportunity zones, 7,651 across the country, both inner city and in other areas as well. We're going to have some fantastic projects that we're going to do with Rebuild America. Excited about it. Let's talk about being on the BigCall Universe mailing list. If you have registered on BigCallUniverse.com, your email, you should get an autoresponder back. Now, what the problem is some people are not seeing that auto-response come back to them, telling them that they're registered. It could be that it made it to the spam filter, spam file. It could be somewhere that you're normally not looking for it because your computer isn't looking to get it back as BigCallUniverse.com because it doesn't know that address yet. It hasn't received anything from it. Now, if you have received stuff from BigCallUniverse.com, then there'll be no problem. You'll probably see it and go, if you haven't registered. Chances are, if you're already getting an email from BigCallUniverse.com, then you're registered, right? Exactly. So you've got, I don't know, Bob said at least 42,000 emails. Now listen to this. Even if you're unsure, I'm sure you're registered if you sent and you spelled your email correctly. You got to make sure you spell it right when you enter it on BigCallUniverse.com. Let's assume you spelled your own email right, okay? Realize that when we get the toll-free numbers, we will put them on BigCallUniverse.com website. There's no THE in front of our address. It's simply BigCallUniverse.com. So, you will have the opportunity, to receive the toll-free numbers by looking at the website, but you'll also get an email as well. Now, many, many, many of you will get the emails coming from the Wells Fargo servers, okay? And my understanding is the last count we had, remember, was 527,000. There may be more or less of those that will be coming. And our understanding is there's servers in each time zone that will probably release at the same time in each time zone. In other words, an hour apart as you go from east to west. So let's pick a time. Let's just pick a random time. Let's say the random time is 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The theory is it would be at 4 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Central, 4 o'clock Mountain, and 4 o'clock Pacific. Remember, this is only an example, not necessarily a real time at all. Only an example. Now, when that happens, obviously they're an hour apart as they're released. So, that is quite possibly the way it will be released. Remember, we have 6 regional call centers across the country that you'll be routed to through the toll-free numbers. One toll-free number will be for ZIM holders plus any other currencies that they might have, and 1-800 number will be for non-ZIM holders only. Okay? And our understanding is that the one that ZIM holders use will get routed and will talk to a live, breathing person at the other end at the redemption center that you have chosen by your zip code. And that person would be somebody that might actually be helping you when you go in for your actual appointment. Okay, so be nice on the phone, and maybe they'll be nice to you when you get there. We're going to have brand new perk sheets from all of the banks. What is a perk? Perks are free benefits. These are things that the banks are going to offer us for being customers with the bank. Every bank's list might be slightly different, but a lot of the same things will be on all bank sheets. Okay? So they'll be presenting these to us, I think, as something that we can take home and study and see if there's anything that we really want to have as sort of a thank you gift from the banks. And I don't know how many of these we can avail ourselves of. We'll learn that. So we will also be meeting at some point in the future with our wealth management team or private banker or just other financial planner at the bank. And so at that time, probably would be when you would tell them what it is you would like. Remember, our understanding is you'll have plenty of access to any exchanged funds that you have that's non-ZIM, dinar, dong, rupiah, etc. When you exchange that, my understanding is you should have access to that equivalent in USN dollars digitally. You have access to that from day one. You want to let them know how much you need for to operate for the first 90 days or so. Let them know, and then make sure that you set that much aside in what I'm going to do is set it aside in my spillover account, operating out of the spillover. What is a spillover? That is the account where interest from my mother load account pays into a spillover account. And for me, I'm going to probably keep it with the same bank that the mother load account is in. Okay? Now, I don't know how many banks are going to be represented at each redemption center. Obviously, the bigger and more populated the area, the more likely it is that you'll have 3 or 4 different banks represented. Okay? We're just going to have to see. But you should have some choices that you can make. You should be able to do 1 or 2 bank wires. What we used to call bank wires, we now call ledger to ledgers. At the time of your exchange, you'll set up a couple of new accounts on the day of exchange. And, you know, everything should be really moving along at a pretty good pace. So, you will be tracked on your phones. Stay off of social media if at all possible, or wean yourself off of social media. Don't be tempted to tell all of your people you friended about your new situation. You want to just basically let all of that go, and don't, you know, if you have a social network you want to keep for some reason, you know, just be very, very careful. I'm not doing any social media and don't plan to. None. So, I think we're all really about as ready as we can be. So let's see what manifests in the next couple of days with what's happening at 4 a.m. in the morning. That should eventually get around to us. And it might not be too long a time before that happens. So let's all just continue to stand in faith for this to come in. Be prepared. Many of you have had sessions with Sue. I don't know if there's going to be much time, but always check and see, maybe. You never know. But I think we're looking very, very good, as I mentioned earlier. Rates are great. Don't sweat that. You'll do fine. If you don't have a world-class presentation session with Sue yet and don't have the time to do one, make sure you have at least a bullet point outline of what it is you plan to do on your projects, and be able to have at least 2 or 3 copies of that, one you could leave behind with them, so that they will compare our projects with everybody across the country by scanning those in and letting the algorithm find those that are the same. And they may be contacting you because your project is the same as, 200 other people. It may or may not happen. There may be something that they will try to ask you to do if that's the case. If anybody out there wants to ally or align themselves with Rebuild America, remember, the whole idea of us doing something for Rebuild is to do the same thing that I'm going to be doing in my cities, towns, or communities that you would do in your cities, towns, and communities. Explain that to them right from the get-go. If your project is Rebuild America, if you want to do one, or do one city, or 2 cities, or whatever, or 2 towns, because you'll follow a template that we put out to you by email, and we'll talk about that. It'll be much, much, much clearer over the next few months. Okay? But if you want to use that as your main project, let them know that we are asking for 5,000 people across the country that have been listeners to the Big Call to align themselves together to do that in all over the country. And you say, how'd you get 5,000? Well, 50 states so far. 50 states. If we could make a dent in 100 cities, towns, and communities in each state on average, there's 100 times 50 is 5,000. And that's why I'm looking at 5,000 individuals to help. So we'll see how that goes. We are excited. We know things are going to change as we get further and further into it. I'm very excited about our future together. And I'm thrilled that we could do this. And hopefully, this will be our last call tonight. We'll see. We will have to wait and see. So, I hope everybody enjoyed this. Hopefully you got something out of it. Hope you listened well to Sue. You may want to go back to the recording and listen again. And obviously, everybody take advantage of the spin to win opportunity that Bob's mentioned, and consider the PEMF MAT seminar or webinar at noon Eastern this Saturday, 9 o'clock Pacific this Saturday. Okay? Great opportunity. All right, so I want to thank Sue for being so special on our calls over these 5 years and what she's brought to us. And I want to thank Bob for handling the board and being an incredible partner with us and a wonderful host on the Big Call, and just incredible store of useful knowledge when it comes to health and nutrition for us. It's been a real blessing. So, thanks everybody out there in Big Call Universe for tuning in. We're really, really amazed at how well and how responsive everybody has been. So, with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off and pray us out, and then we'll see if Bob will turn off the recording. Everybody, enjoy and have a wonderful night, and let's see what would happen for us in the next couple of days. Lord Jesus, we thank you for the information that we've been able to put out tonight. Thank you for the listeners that have spent the last up to 9 years paying attention to what it is we would bring to them. Thank you for everyone working together with a vision for the future of humanity and everything that you are bringing to us in the way of this blessing and how we can bless others and level the playing field across this globe. Thank you for everything that you're doing to bless us under Plan A right now. And thank you for Plan B coming with blessing in the very near future. Thank you again, and we love you, we bless you, and bless your name. In Jesus' name, amen and amen. Thanks again, Bob. Thank you, Sue. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. God bless you.